Good morning and welcome to today's live show. We're going to look at this a few times throughout this week because housing is saying something very interesting here. Housing is actually saying that we're crossing down on a weekly chart and we are confirming weekly divergence, which can affect the monthly chart here. And the monthly chart does have divergence on the RSI. So there is a big point of weakness here for the housing market. And we're using home builders to look at this, but we're going to see how the housing sector does open up in a little bit. But I'd be very careful out there because you're seeing this, and this is not good, okay? This is weekly divergence confirming here. Remember, housing last week kind of helped us out with that downward push, and we said, uh-oh, watch out, because the SPY could see some kind of downward push, and that's when this long wick started to happen. So now we're seeing that continue. So something to note here is if the weekly does cross over for the SPY, first off is going to be if that 2 hour can cross down for the SPY. As it is positive, we always have the chance to head higher, but it tells us in the bigger time frames, right? We posted this to Patreon in the morning and talked a little bit about what was going on with the housing sector. As you can see, we're going to wait till this guy opens up, but you can see that that same look is showing here, and that's most likely going to see some kind of gap down. We'll see if that takes place when it does open up in about 20 minutes. But for the most part, we're seeing this happen, and at the same time, well, mainly if you look at home builders, you're seeing that divergence confirm, and at the same time, what are we noticing from the daily chart here? It is trying to curl up for volatility on the daily scale, which is a big thing to pay attention to. So I'd be paying close attention if this 2 hour is able to roll over early on today. It kind of tells me maybe I should be looking at something very important. What stock is holding this up? Well, maybe I need to look over at Nvidia and say, uh-oh, that's starting to push down. We got the rejection divergence, good management of trade, 30-minute cross down. Now we're going back to the downside. We'll see, because this might just cross over a daily, and maybe we're going to go through a daily pullback, or maybe something worse. We'll have to see with that one. Apple showing something similar as well, right? If you look at all these on weekly charts, if they start to see some weakness here, it would make sense. Nvidia, it would make sense for us to see a dramatic downward move, and the housing sector is kind of front running that right now. If it has something to say, if it's going to correlate, that would be our hint as of this moment. Something to note for that housing sector move is it is confirming weekly divergence. While you have weekly divergence on Nvidia, you have weekly divergence on Apple there on the RSI, not on the MACD at the same time. You have weekly divergence on the Qs, you have weekly divergence on the SPY, and you have weekly divergence on the Dow. Click over to that. You got weekly divergence here as well. So this is something to pay close attention to. Something early on is just going to be, can the SPY rotate down on a 2 hour chart? And that's what we're mainly going to focus on. If it's able to see more positivity, then that might just be the 30-minute needs to curl back up. We are in a buy zone still. We have not lost the trend. We haven't seen that wick up or anything like that like we did over here. So we'll see if this is able to hold up and do a little bit better. But volatility looks like it kind of wants to turn up on the daily scale for volatility. As far as IWM goes, IWM a little bit different because you see the weekly here, and that's just about to cross as well. So IWM is just a little bit different because it looks wonkier. It's a little flatter, I think. But for the most part, you could say, well, let's take this point here and this point here, right? We're going to take these 2 points and connect them. Well, that's slightly upward. But on the RSI, look how dramatic that is downward. So watch out if IWM does cross here. It has the divergence as well. It's just not the clearest from the main point like the other ones, right? This is showing here, but not really showing here. This is not showing here, but it is showing here. So that's why I think IWM is a little bit wonky there. Something else that's very interesting is yields continuing to head higher here. Yields continuing to head higher, and a lot of people saying, I mean, even myself included, said, I think we could see a rotation into TLT. Is there a reason that's not happening? Because TLT gave great basing out signals. It is seeing something crazy, and it is dropping fast, which makes you kind of worry because the bigger the difference between TLT and the SPY, the more the SPY will have to catch up if we get a rug pull. So I'm a little bit worried about that going forward. But as of this week, we just want to be paying attention to these 2 hour signals. We have not approached a weekly expected move just yet. So we'll see what happens. Maybe some earnings can help people out. Oh yeah, speaking of earnings, SoFi. SoFi did deliver the earnings, 2-hour divergence there for SoFi, showing some downside as of right now. Okay, good numbers, bad price action. So all they have to do is say one bad thing and stocks can start to turn down. Well, at least during earnings, you know, SoFi can turn down. They can say 10 good things and one bad thing, and then boom, ends up heading to the downside. Gotta go check on some stuff. There we go. Looks like 975 for that. We'll see if this can catch a bounce at some time, but you're starting to see that push in the downward direction. Down about 4% to start off the day. We'll see how that lands by the end of the week. Wish I had weekly expected moves for this bad boy. I'm sure the volatility is nice for this one. But yeah, we just have to see how it opens up. Right now we're seeing weakness in the housing market, so we'll see if that proves to be a leading indicator for us over time. The way that that's going to prove as being a leading indicator is if we start to see weeklies turn down for the SPY. We start to see weeklies turn down for the Qs, and we can say, we should have paid attention to home builders. So we're pointing it out now as it's happening, which tells us if we're going to curl down a weekly chart, well, we got to curl down this 2-hour first. All right, and then we have to make sure there's no other, rigged moves to the upside like the 2-hour curling back up into positive territory. But we have not even approached a weekly expected move just yet, so we can pay attention to that. There's always a chance that we do break it, get some kind of massive retest or something like that, and then fall. There's always chances of that. But for the most part, you can see where that weekly range is a great point to catch some kind of bounce. Then maybe that ends up turning back down with some consolidation. Interesting look. PayPal's dumping. PayPal is dumping. You had 2-hour divergences showing up, just not the best. Okay, so what you want to look at is more like the daily scale here and just see if that's turned down. It's been turned down, and we've been having the squeeze behavior, so now that's producing a big drop there. So the thing is with earnings, it's like whatever does happen, it's like, well, it makes sense. There's probably something that makes it make sense, right? That's kind of the bad part. It's something that you just look back on. I like to try to talk about things before it happens, which is why I think a lot of people come into my channel and they go, why are you so bearish? It's like, no, I'm just talking about what would be bearish. I'm bullish right now. Oh, why are you so bullish? Well, I'm just talking about what would be bullish. I'm bearish right now. And then when that bullish signal does complete, then I go, okay, now I'm bullish, right? But I get bullish at the opposite time most people do. At least in my opinion. So I think it confuses people a little bit, but it's just the way that you have to treat the market, and that's just how I feel about it. Is you have to treat things not backwards, but just the signal you're seeing. You have to be like, okay, I'm aware of this, so we could get bullish here. And even though I'm saying bullish things, I could be bearish with my trades, and then if that happens, then I might be out of my bearish trades, switching right back to bullish. So Jolts jobs report comes out in 30 minutes. 30 minutes, all right? 30 minutes. After hours trading, maybe someone in the chat could help you out with that because I don't do much after hours trading. Bullish or bearish on Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin actually was interesting because people were, yelling at me because I said there's 2-hour divergences here and most likely we're going to see some weakness. We see some weakness, and then if you look back a couple of days, you'll hear me say we made a low, we made a higher low, which really tells me we can go positive, so good things can happen. And then we always say wait for that daily to cross up, and it crossed up yesterday. Okay, so the daily did cross up yesterday. The only thing you're hoping for Bitcoin right now is that this daily just doesn't flip back around, that this isn't some kind of trap, because this could be a massive breakout. This could be a huge, huge breakout on the weekly scale, and you can see crazy upside from this move, right? We can see great upside from this type of move. So what you're hoping for is no signs of weakness show up. One sign of weakness, as far as right now goes, would be the daily scale. You would see if that is able to dump here, because that's going to reverse everything back down, and this might just be some form of consolidation in some way, or some form of what am I trying to say, rising wedge. So we can look at this from a 4-hour perspective and say, does this have reversal signals? And my argument would be, for the most part, no. because we're not really we're exceeding that level on the RSI. That's a good sign, and we're very high up into positive territory, okay? So you'll notice when we did make the 4-hour divergence here, and we were saying this was gonna pull back with all those 2-hour ones, you made a 4-hour one. Look how much closer, right? We got very, very close, but notice this blue line is going up almost towards these readings here. That is higher up than we were previously, so you have more of an opportunity to retest, turn back up into positive territory. Something you can look for here is just looking at the 2-hour as well. You notice there is nothing going on here. There's nothing going on here. So at least the 2-hour pullback would make sense, get that retest and then turn back up. But the weekly scale is with this, so this can just skyrocket if it wanted to. I think it's more, if you're lucky and this remains bullish and curls up one more time, then this would say, hey, the weekly's turned up, the daily's turned up, the 4 hours turned up, go time. That's what it looks like for me. Yeah, the housing market doing awful. That's what I was mentioning over on Patreon. That's what I mentioned at the beginning of this video. We do see, I mean, I know XHB is what we want to really pay attention to, but look at this gap down from Nail, from home builders. I know this is 3 times leverage, but it's one that I pay attention to. If you want to pay attention to another one, you know, people bring this one up. It's pretty much the same here. Do you have divergences and that kind of thing? No, this is just a straight up drop off, and that's a big problem. That is a big, big problem. Because now you have a good chance of turning over that weekly chart, right, by the end of the week, because you're at lower prices. So you were crossing over this MACD, by the way. You were crossing this over when this was a green bar right here. When this was positive, it still was crossing over, saying the momentum's bad here. Now that momentum is really starting to pick up. We'll see if we can get a wick in some way, right? There's always a chance that you can find an area, if we go a little lower, I would say, to get some kind of bounce, and then we'll see if that happens. So if the daily turns up close to positive, still can be a good move. But if that weekly turns down, I don't trust any bounce for this guy. Yeah, the Dow early on, we'll see if that can flip back down. I still think the SPY curling down, there you go, we're starting to break levels. So we got to see if there's a wick up at some point, but we're starting to break the trend. So something good for today would be like, oh, we do this, and then we reject, right? When we break a zone, what do you want to do? You break it, you come back down into it, you use it to go a little higher, and we go a little higher. We lose the zone, we try to use it as resistance. No, we gap out of it. Then we try to use the zone for the next move higher, fails, right? So this zone's still becoming important. We'll see if we can do something like this. That would be interesting. Yeah, SoFi, just a simple 2-hour divergence was there. It didn't confirm before the earnings. It's confirming now, though. So SoFi, you have a big problem going on with SoFi, which is look at that dramatic downside, first of all. And second of all, what the hell is going to go on here on the daily scale? Because that daily is way up there, and the points that you really want to pay attention to are probably down here towards $9. But you could probably draw a little zone right here and just say anywhere in this zone right here could prove to be important. So that's where I suspect we do find some buyers, but we can find buyers earlier too, right? That's if we break this level. So if you're looking on a 2-hour, right, you're seeing a dramatic 2-hour move. It's not even oversold yet. And we're probably going to come down to this point, right? We're going to see some kind of bounce. And if this is going to remain bearish, that's going to be a key thing. Remain bearish, well, then that's going to fail. This is going to build down to here. It's going to curl up and it's going to fail. That would be the structural way for it to head down. If daily momentum takes over, you can just keep dropping. So just got to be cautious with this. That is a very bad move. IWM, just noticing that one. This makes sense because yields are going higher, right? Yields are going higher, so it makes total sense. And remember our level, 223.08, coming to be important again. We react right up to it, and uh-oh, some resistance comes in. Obviously, these lines are never going to be perfect, but you want to see those consolidative moves, those rejection moves in that area. What was very cool was, oh shoot, what was it? It was Tesla. Tesla last week was very cool. No, was it Tesla? I don't remember. There was something very cool with a weekly range last week. Oh, actually, it was GameStop this week. It was GameStop this week. So if I go into a 5-minute here, we have this purple line. This is where the options market, really prices in how high a stock can go, right? So 68% chance to land below that, just a note there. If this 5 minute turns over, I don't think that's a very good thing, but maybe that can whip back around. But I just wanted to show how we get past that level, and this is where the fight begins. That's what I keep saying, right? The fight begins here, and you notice, what do? We stick around this level. We use it as support, right? Once you break through, that's why I said it's important to break through, because now you can use this as support. And we've used it as support a couple times. So this is where you be weary, though, if we start to lose that, curl down on a 30-minute. That's where you say, okay, not the moment, maybe a retest, and then that takes off later on. But still experiencing something crazy. I just wanted to show how cool that was. You're really reacting right where we expect to. Adobe, may you ask about Adobe? It drops like it's dropping. So one thing to note here is Adobe's been beat up for a long time. The other thing to note is you still want to pay attention for those little reversal signals. Now, with something that's dropped this much, you really want to see some kind of daily signal first. Okay, so we're going to do a full thing here. We're pretty much going to take you through, and if you're confused by what we go through right here, please look into the course down in the description. You will understand what we're talking about so much better. It is 90% off, only for about 30 more days. So get it while it lasts, while you can get it really, really cheap. But here is the daily scale. What do you notice about the daily scale? Well, we're forming a divergence at the bottom of the Bollinger. We've been beat up for a long time. Maybe we're due for a bounce. Maybe this is trying to base out in some way, because I do have a daily signal down here that's saying a bigger bounce can come. So if I see this, awesome, I go, okay, daily shows it. But this is a risky one, so maybe I want to look for something like a 2-hour divergence to see if that daily is going to curl back up. Well, if I go into a 2-hour, you're going to see a bunch of little ones. It looks like a bunch of little ones in here, but you'll notice this. The RSI can really clean things up for you, and we can go into a 4-hour to see, because you want to see it on the 2-hour, at least maybe a 4-hour, but you can see this. So you notice that the RSI, this low, this is a higher low, this is a higher low. Awesome. So I know there's higher lows there. I look at the price action and I see low, lower low, lower low. So momentum is dying out here on the 2-hour, and that has recently confirmed up. Now, we know a lot of the time the 30-minute likes to go do that dip, right? Give another fake out. So if I'm seeing a 30-minute divergence here, then this could be an overall great play. Look at the 30-minute. So the 30-minute here is saying, hey, the 2-hour has a chance to rotate back up. If that 2-hour then goes positive, we can rotate up the daily. What's the thing about the daily? It has divergence. So you have a divergence here, you have divergence across the 2-hour, you have divergence across the daily, all at the same time. That's really, this is the heavenly thing, right? This is the heavenly thing that's like, hey, this is giving you weakness on momentum in every single chart. It's kind of a blessing. Now, just because it looks like a great trade, does it have to be one? No. So you have to know how to manage your trades. That's one of the last portions of the course down in the description. But this is one that is saying, I'm slowing down. I'm slowing down, and I could experience some kind of bottom soon, and you're seeing bottoming signals from multiple time frames. So I think this is a good one actually at this point to be looking at. I think it's one that you can pay attention to and see if that is able to see an upward move. Let's look at a 4-hour, see if it cleans it up a little bit. See the 4-hour? That cleans it up a little bit, doesn't it? If that 4-hour crosses up, that daily has a great shot to turn up. Was that helpful, YS? It seemed like you're like, it's dropping like shit, so I wanted to give you some good analysis there. I'm hoping that does help you, but overall, this means potential, and I just read the word potential right there with potential reversal from Jonathan, but there is potential reversal here. Potential. Has it confirmed? No. If it does confirm, is it guaranteed to reverse? No. You have to be honest with yourself and know that trading is a risky game, and I want to wait for good signals. For me, signals look good here. But does that mean this can't just react to the 20 and continue? Of course that can happen. So we want to treat this very carefully, but the 4-hour turning up would say good shot that the daily is then going to turn back up, and that has divergence, so we can maybe see a move maybe to test that 20 up towards maybe $500. Maybe we just go to top Bollinger at 515, or the best place to retest would probably be right here at 504-ish. right here, because that's where we're starting to struggle. And then the next point to really want to test is going to be where this gap is, because that's kind of your breakdown zone. That's kind of your breakdown zone. That's the main zone that they're going to give you. So I would say 200 looks like the most likely there, but always got to be managing that trade very actively. So hopefully that was very helpful for you. Now we can pop over, maybe we will check on some other stuff. Okay, Robert, I'll go look at cost for you real quick. I won't be able to do full analysis on everything, but for the most part for Costco, daily divergence here, when it's really spread out like this too, you even got a little daily one right here. You see that? That is extremely weak, and that's saying downside. Then you pop up. What are you doing? You're making that left head, right shoulder with this as the baseline. You lose that, you're probably heading down to complete a big ass cup, and then maybe you'll get a handle. If that's a big handle, you could even add up to, hey, left head, right shoulder on the bigger scale. Why am I talking about bigger moves right now? Because the weekly here is very weak. Okay, you saw this turn up, you saw it turn right back down, and you have triple divergence on your RSI. Okay, so you don't have triple on the MACD, but it is showing up for one, and then you have that same one there. That's where it's getting significant, so this is where you pay attention, and then you had a triple one across the way, right? If I hold my mouse here, you're noticing it's flat and then turns right down. That's what you want to see, and now this says, hey, the monthly scale has a good shot to turn down. Now, if that monthly scale turns down, what's the bad thing about the monthly? Ooh, big-ass divergence, okay? So it's just... oh my goodness. All of this adds up to Costco's about to see some weakness. Now, I don't know why it would see weakness or anything like that. Maybe it is just a deflationary event. Notice this. So Costco, 2020, right? 2020, Costco was worth $300. Since inflation has really scaled up, what is Costco worth? Well, Costco is worth almost $900. That is a 200% increase in 4 years. 200% increase in 4 years. That is why you pay attention to monthly charts, first of all. But second of all, this is another reason why your food probably does cost a lot of money right now. So you would kind of want things like this to go down because this seems very inflationary at this moment. Enphase, we can look at Enphase real quick, and then I might have to pop over to the regular market. So something about Enphase, you see the monthly's been beat up for a long time. Does this monthly have a good shot to turn up? Well, if this can base out, you might have a good shot. And I think it's not the best looking stuff from the weekly chart. What you'd really be wanting is this to actually really go positive here, break through some key levels, but this doesn't have the best basing out signals. All of this could just be liquidity to drop even further. But the best part about Enphase, by the way, if you want proof of weekly charts, right? We're seeing weekly divergences really play out. Don't mess around with those weekly divergences. Remember, on the bigger scale, you see less crazy stuff. So you should really take that signal that you're seeing into consideration. You can always make a triple divergence and stuff like that. We just saw a triple divergence on Costco, okay? But a lot of the time, these weeklies will just play out regularly with one divergence there. So what you're seeing here is, boom, at the top. Look at that. Straight down, okay? So that was your signal that Enphase was going to be garbage. And it proved. It proved. But I don't like the signals as much here. This could be some kind of, get into this level, create consolidation, and head down. I just think this is too weak at this point. But I think it's really cool with those divergences when they do show up to point them out so people can be aware of that in the other direction, right? If this is down like this and you start to see maybe this goes through some more weakness for a long time. Maybe it does this, maybe it does that, maybe it does this. And then you see that same signal up here over here. And then you go, okay, this is an investment at that point, right? This might be an investment at that point. It's at lower prices. It's back to the prices back in 2020. Notice that. So, yeah, I like that look if that would dump a little more. DJT goes up, and that could be the repositioning of people into stocks that they see will be important if Donald Trump wins the presidency. I actually think that might be what's going on here a little bit, because you're noticing that weekly turned up, and we've just seen weeks of positivity. That's why you want to pay attention to the bigger time frames as well. Because we've seen a 2-hour divergence right in here. It didn't really play out, just a minor pullback. So DJT ripping. And the other side of that is going to be Tesla. Tesla is seeing some downside here. Remember, what we're looking for from Tesla is just this 2 hour to curl down, 2 hour to curl back up, right? This is extremely positive. So this does not, and it's similar, right, to something like, actually, Nvidia on the daily scale. On the 2 hour scale, Nvidia does not look very good, but if that 2 hour ever turns up, positivity can happen, okay? But I was just getting at Tesla. Look how high up it is. It's going to take a lot of work to get through. To get into a negative trend, it's going to be a lot of work. So if that's going to continue into a negative trend, we're going to have to see this drop pretty dramatically. If that's going to get by the center line and turn back up, well, that's most likely what will happen here, unless we experience some kind of black swan, which, as we get closer to the election itself, you know, November 5th, we have to be aware that black swans are definitely possible. Righty. The only thing you really don't want to happen probably for Tesla is to turn down on a daily scale. Okay, because you had divergence across here, now you have divergence there, you have divergence here, you have a lot of points of divergence. So if that does experience extreme weakness, watch out if the daily scale does turn down. Of course they are. GameStop, remember this about GameStop. If the 30-minute curls down, it's probably not the moment, but it can curl right back up the next day, right? If we go back to this area back here where we saw a big move, I want you to notice something real quick. I think it was it this move? This one didn't curl over. Maybe it was the actual moment. Actually, it's right here. Okay, so notice this. That 30-minute, it did curl down here, and then you saw the major gap up. So you have to be aware of that happening too, but for the most part, then that 30-minute turned up, never turned back down. Never turned back down. So that's the thing. It can do this little turn down, then see a gap up. And you'll notice most of those do happen on a Monday, okay? So this could like leak out for a little bit, turn down for a little bit, then Monday comes across and boom, over the weekend. We'll see. Right now you're still in a crazy area. You have not confirmed down the 30-minute. Yep, jobs report coming out at 9 a.m. my time, so in about 11 minutes here. We do notice that we can probably go look at the housing sector now. The housing sector, just showing it one more time, this is something to be very, very freaking worried about. Why is the housing market going to just crash all of a sudden is what it looks like. These weekly divergences are known to roll over monthly charts. Big problem with the monthly chart, you have divergence on the RSI, not the MACD. So you do still have the opportunity if we get like a you know, that divergence on the weekly again, right? The same signal here. If we get that here, we can see the housing market go up. But for now, that's a major topping signal there. So we'll pay attention to the jobs report. Okay, let's go back over to the SPY, guys. We're going to have time today. We will look over at some other stocks. I know people have tons of stocks they want me to look at. But for now, I think you really got to pay attention. Notice this. See the wick up? That's what we were mentioning, right? You can wick up. This is a zone still. If you remain in that zone, you wick up here. You don't really break this, or you break it and you just wick up intraday. That can be a big deal. Just pay attention if this 2 hour actually confirms down, not just rolls over, right? It rolls over, it takes time. You have to see if that does confirm or make a decision in the last 15 minutes or so of the bar. What was it with AMC? Even though AMC dropping, the options were actually okay with that for a second. Maybe it's this wick up. Yeah, you don't want AMC to curl down on a 2 hour. You don't want it to curl down on a 30-minute. So if this does happen, you can kind of see how we would maybe pull back for a little bit of time. Big gap up. So we'll see what's going on with that later. Oh, I'm gonna buy nail for cheap if this thing crashes. I'm so down, it's insane. I already have my investment plan ready. Like, yeah, there's no way the housing market doesn't pump again. They need more homes out there, so still not out of daily expected move. It's only temporary. Well, you want to watch out for those, because if they're halting a stock that they do not want to go up, they can halt the stock, allow, you know, rich people to put in some sell orders and short sell the damn thing, and then shoot it to the downside. That's what we see constantly with GameStop. We showed that off, actually, when we were seeing big moves from GameStop. We just showed a 5-minute, and I said, watch this, watch. It's going to be halted for 5 minutes, and no trading is supposed to take place. But then watch. In 5 minutes, we're going to see a gap. And then sure enough, what do we see? We saw a gap down after the 5-minute, you know, halt was over. And that's why I don't trust the market. That's why I always pay attention to how I can get screwed. Because what would screw me right now? Well, we're still holding that 5-day moving average. We just wicked in the bottom of our zone. Notice we touched the bottom of our zone, so we're marking things off pretty well. And if this just turns up, we can see positivity. This could remain here for most of the day. We've seen very sluggish first few hours of the day, kind of sluggish days, honestly. But if this would be sluggish for the morning and then turn up, well, then going into Thursday or something like that, going into Wednesday, Thursday, we might be able to see that upside. So we still want to be aware that this is really close to the center line and curled up. But is that positive? No, it is turning down right now. So we have to see that cross to really get that confirmation. Let it go, let it go. I'm not buying Tesla anymore, let it go. No, we're still looking at this. We're at the 5-day, right? The 5-day is right here. So if this would do this, remain down there for a bit, do this, curl back up, that would be a good sign for Tesla. Monthly scale, Tesla says I'm a good investment, which is kind of crazy to me. Another thing was XLU. XLU on the daily scale. XLU on the daily scale has confirmed divergence at the top, and you know that what we pay attention to is when XLU has divergences, hey, SPY has those divergences as well. If you look all the way across, we do have them. I think it might even be clearer on the futures. No, not really. But for the most part, we can see weekly divergence here, and I think a lot of things are starting to flash red. You got XLU, you got housing sector. I'd be a little bit cautious here with upside plays. It doesn't mean I can't take an upside play. I'm just deciding with this kind of look to be like, I don't need to take upside plays, right? I take upside plays here. I take upside plays here. Once we start to get here, I'm like, okay, if I take one, I got to be quick with it. And then I don't remember taking too much here. I think I took one, maybe a short on volatility for a second, but then up here I'm starting to scale in for some kind of pullback or drop. Yeah, we can go look at Microsoft. Microsoft does have reversal signals in here. So what we want to notice is Microsoft giving the 30-minute, but where is the 30-minute? 30-minute divergence was there, told you at least. Oh, sorry about that. At least a pullback is coming, if not a full reversal in trend. So you have to be aware of that, just because the 2-hour, I believe, was showing that little blip too, telling you, hey, there could be extreme weakness here, so watch out. So you still have to be in watch out mode. But one thing that could be positive for Microsoft would be this 30-minute able to curl up, because we have not seen, you know, dramatic downside or anything. We're not losing the 5. We're at the 5. If that 30-minute would curl up, we bought ourselves some time for positivity. But since that 2 hours crossed down, if the daily crosses down, that's going to be bad. That's going to be bad for Microsoft. And something that got bad news was Google. Google actually showing a divergence in the middle of its RSI. But Google trying to get this breakout moment for the most part. One thing about Google is they originally were not, and I think this is how it goes, right? Forgive me if I'm wrong, but this is how I was researching it, and what I found was Google originally had something legally that said they could not be sued for censoring on YouTube, and they could not be sued for algorithmic manipulation on YouTube, meaning they could not get sued by a parent whose kid watches a bunch of certain types of videos, gets suggested more of those videos, and then ends up, you know, doing something harmful to themselves. And now that is being taken away, I believe, by the Supreme Court. So I think that Google is going to be under some scrutiny soon. So I'd just be careful with this. But it is curled up into positive territory. We've got earnings right around the corner, right? I believe is it today? I think it's today after hours, right? Yeah, today after hours. So you can take it with a grain of salt, but I would say if this 4-hour curls down, I'd be a little cautious. Right now, it looks like you're trying to make good structure actually to head higher, which is fantastic, and everything's screaming that that's going to happen, but earnings is always a 50-50 flip. Yeah, tons of it, but you've had it the whole time. You've had it the entire time. If you really look at a 2-hour, you keep getting the divergence and nothing happens. So what you want to really say is, what's happening here if we were looking at this like a regular stock that's just extremely bullish? Well, if that 2-hour cross back down, we'd say, hey, it's potential to actually lose the 5. But this also could be a cup, could be a handle, and we're using that 5 the entire time. So if that wants to project higher, that would be a good sign for this 2-hour chart. It would be a sign that this 4-hour might be able to rotate up and see another big move higher. But we'll see here, this difference between the dollar going up and SPY going up, it's happened for weeks. You're in a weekly trap. So you do have the opportunity now to say, well, if the dollar does drop and the market drops at the same time, since that's the current correlation, then we would say that might be insiders buying, and we should look for basing out signals on maybe a 4-hour chart for the dollar. So don't expect the dollar dropping off to immediately produce positivity. It can, but the correlation right now is positive, meaning that these are moving in tandem. So if one starts to turn down, the other can actually start to turn down as well, which would hint that there's insider buying. Where you start to get scared is, this has been taking place for a long time. What if this takes off still and the SPY starts dropping? That's gonna be the scary sign, in my opinion. But you're seeing the dollar make major moves and Bitcoin make major moves at the same time. What's gold doing? I think gold was positive when I last looked at it. Gold positive as well. So someone out there is lying. Is it gold? Is it Bitcoin? Is it the dollar? I think that at the end of the day, if we're going to experience a black swan, then that would mainly affect gold and Bitcoin. But 3 minutes for the Jolts, 1 minute for the Jolts now. PCC at 0.88, volatility able to turn back down here for now. So the 30-minute curling down would be something to pay attention to. You do have a very, very wonky piece of divergence there. Still relatively positive. We'll see if that can whip back up if that crosses, but for now it's crossed up. For now it's crossed up on the 2-hour, I believe, right? Crossed up on the 2-hour, and what you're looking for today, and why today is important, is because this is so close to crossing on the daily scale. I think we have a good opportunity to make that 2-hour move for the SPY higher, so it would make sense to still do something like this. But I want you to notice these are coming in, so a big move is most likely coming for volatility. Is that going to be a squeeze for a week to send this down to the 200, or is that going to be some kind of bad moment? That's something we're paying attention to on this channel. Still, in order to prove that something bad can really happen, you need this 2-hour to rotate down, and that's just not happening yet. Right, we keep wicking below there, causing traps. All right, let me pop over to some data real quick. We get Jolts job openings going down to 7.443 million. Consumer confidence is 108.7. Crazy there. Refresh this. We did not get any of the... There's the housing data. Looks like the home price, year-over-year home price, month-over-month are both coming down. Adjusted, yeah, coming in, the actual coming down, negative 0.3 and 5.2. which the previous was 5.9 and expected at 5.4. So that's most likely why we're seeing weakness there. Now, as far as I read into the data right now, I believe this would be a good thing for the market. We still have to pay attention to what's going on. Something that we can watch now is if this is going to be positive for the market, maybe we're going to go to a daily expected move. Well, then the 30-minute might be able to turn up. And then we have a bunch of earnings after hours, so we got to be a little cautious. But for the most part, I think that data, that would mean job openings going down. Might mean that people are getting more jobs, people like the strong economy maybe, and then I believe it's next week, or is it tomorrow we actually get GDP. Whenever GDP is positive, people are convinced that's a good thing, which it is a good thing for stocks, not necessarily the individual American. That is a gap and a half. Tesla still pulling down. You can even look at a 30-minute right now, really, for Tesla. See if that 30-minute makes another move. AMD still seeing that positivity, making another point of divergence, so we'll see. Oops. Another little point here. Coming up a little bit flat, so this could just be, you know, the next move higher. We'll see. Damn, that is a pretty solid move, though. I don't think that's the best divergence in the world now. That's why I hate trading AMD. I think it's just like the weirdest stock behavior ever. Like all the setups for AMD look like it's like ugh. No, just not a fun one to trade. 30-minute for Nvidia, still looking if that thing can turn up. You notice that all of the moving averages are piled up right here, and if you take back those, you take back the 5-day. Okay, these other ones are on the 30-minute, but this is a 5-day moving average, so that can see the next move higher if we do that. When does AMD give earnings out? Is that Wednesday after hours? Tuesday after hours. Okay, so that's today as well. Guess we have some basing out signals there. Pretty much makes sense. This is kind of what you need to happen for Meta. You need this to stay positive because this does have the looking like it could be double top. All right. All right, just trying to click around. Keep a look on it. Let's go look at the Qs. Qs, you see how that 30 minutes real positive? What you're doing is you're reacting to pretty much, you would say, breakout area, right? You would say this level's been important. So if that 30-minute does curl up, hey, we can see positivity. Watch out if that happens quickly or it goes into maybe tomorrow. And then we see that hit a daily expected move. We go like that. That's going to be a little bad. But for the most part, for the Qs, the 2-hour is curled up in positive territory, so that means we can see positivity. This did not rotate back down. So you have divergence all across this bad boy. You're starting to do this, right? We're starting to look like this, then we look like this. Can we turn down, though? That's going to be the big thing. Or are we just going to break through and see another, 3 push higher? Damn. All of these are pretty much 2-hour charts, except for I think it's Nvidia, maybe. Nvidia's already curled down. European markets are crashing. What happened? I have no idea, but I do know that we're seeing weakness in some key freaking areas right now. So would make sense for us to do the same, right? We see utilities crashing, that happens in a crash. We're seeing the housing sector crash, that is happening. That happens in a crash too, and sometimes they're leading indicators. So we could see some dramatic downside, but right now we're not seeing that in the shorter time frame. So could we still see one more trap move higher? Of course we can. All right, we just have to pay attention if those things are rotating up on 30 minutes right now. But if this turns down for volatility, it would suggest we're actually going to see this type of move happen. I'm scaling into volatility. I'm still holding the same volatility position that I held here, because during this drop, I saw volatility make the kind of almost double top. So I said, okay, let me take some off at that point, and then I reapplied the position here because I thought it was fishy that the Dow Jones and IWM were the reversal signal ones, and they didn't see positivity right away, but the SPY and the Q saw massive gaps, so I thought it was going to be a trap. Ended up being a trap. Now we're trying to still make that next move higher. So because it's my first scale in for volatility, I can wait, see if this goes higher, scale in again, and be perfectly fine in that. I've already come to that decision, wrote it down in my book. We can look over what they're talking about. Ooh, okay. So they're also saying that European markets coming down could actually be coming down because of the potential for a Trump win. So the Trump effect is what they have it stated as here. The thing about that is they don't have that wrong. If he's going to put tariffs everywhere, then they're going to have a hard time having a buyer in that the United States is one of the biggest consumption countries in the whole world, right? If not the biggest. But we noticed that Trump would, if he would put tariffs and make manufacturing happen overseas or domestically, then overseas companies might have to suffer or produce in America to get rid of those tariffs. So I think it does make sense actually why the European markets would crash down. And that means a lot, guys, if you're looking at the election, because that means a lot. If you're seeing these huge money moves, then these people really believe that Donald Trump is going to win. And that's not me saying anything political. It's just saying big people with big money are making moves for a Donald Trump win, not a Kamala win. And that's what I'd really think about. He also said he may leave NATO. I have to look more into NATO to see if it's even good anymore. But for the most part, I know this about NATO, isn't it? We give tons and tons and tons of money while others don't, and then they benefit from it and we don't. So that's one thing. I think it's more just, I think he could work something out there if he could just refine the deals going on. Volatility. I'm still looking at volatility. I will most likely manage the trade if this 2-hour crosses. I will manage for a second, and then I'll just try to find that first position for a level that I see as good, or when I see reversal. So if the 2-hour crosses down, I'm only in one scale and move here. So if the market would crash, yeah, I'd make good money just because you'll make good money no matter what you have in volatility if a crash would happen. But for the most part, if the 2-hour does turn down, then I will say, okay, I'm going to back off of this for a bit. Okay, if this 30-minute crosses down, whatever. And if it crosses back up, that's when I might make a decision for another trade there to scale in one more time. But volatility is a big deal. And I've traded it a lot. It's hard. It's a little bit difficult to trade, the timing of it and all that good stuff. So, if you're not someone that's traded options or anything like that a lot, what you can do is you can just buy something, right? You could buy and sell things back and forth, look at UVXY, see how that's turned down on a 30-minute, maybe wait till that turns up and then make a decision. Because UVXY, this is another reason why, volatility dropping off dramatically. It does have divergence saying, hey, this can roll over on a 2-hour chart. And it is rolling over on a 2-hour chart, but we're not seeing extreme weakness just yet. So one thing I can pay attention to is the SPY, right? If the SPY is going to turn up on a 30-minute, then volatility is most likely going to go down, right? So I can pay attention to the SPY at the same time. Surely hope not. I don't remember what we were talking about. Trying to get rid of this stuff here. How do I think that'll affect the market? You're going to see things flip right back. You're going to see all the money moves flip right back. Yeah, Hussein. Now it's not an encouragement to do what I'm doing. It's an encouragement to learn, right? To see how I do things with volatility, to see the behaviors I'm looking for from volatility to make a decision. If big money is predicting him to win, though, Miss Bombshell, I would say that things are going to flip right back. Okay, I think things are going to flip right back. Now, something interesting is you're seeing dollar moves. You're seeing European market moves. Aren't you seeing India moves too? And you're seeing also stocks like DJT. You're seeing these repositionings for a Trump win. So this could be a moment where Americans themselves, maybe, right? We do have the insider selling. We know that from the dollar. But this could be a moment where people still holding up the market don't believe he's going to win until that produces some downside. So we'll see what happens there. You also have the option for if Trump wins, maybe we do see a boom. Maybe you do see a boom, because if European markets they're getting out of those and then they put that into American stocks that are here producing domestically, that could be interesting. There's just like 50 different ways this thing could go, I think. Nvidia is going to be the big dog, though. We got to see if that can curl up, and that's going to be very dependent on this guy. So AMD making a good upward move. I don't think it's near the weekly expected move, by the way. Yeah, it's not near the weekly expected move. Still a big move priced in. Good morning, BK. How you doing? Tammy, I hope that end phase stuff was helpful. And then, yeah, really, I think you just want to be watching this guy. I know it's kind of boring, it's kind of stagnant, but you are retaking the 5, and if you curl up into positive territory, positive things can happen. Well, there is something to look at here. And you would kind of say like this, maybe, right? January 3rd, 2022. Okay, and then we'll see if housing did call that one. January 3rd, 2022, it turned down. So what you can do is maybe look in here and see, did this turn down first around January 3rd? Notice the divergence at the top. Great. So this started turning down January 3rd on the dot. Then you want to go see, okay, well, did this help out the SPY back then? January 5th. Look at this. Okay, so January 3rd, the housing market really turned down. January 5th, the market turned down. This was January 3rd. So notice that the housing sector was a leading indicator at that moment. It doesn't have to be every time, but it is one you want to pay attention to. And if you spot weakness in the SPY, you'll notice that we made what? One more upward move, probably on a 2-hour, made a 2-hour divergence, and then that fell. Should we go into it and look? Let's go look. 2-hour here. This is going to be hard to go find, but okay, this is all the way in 2024. This is going to be right here. Okay, right here, maybe we saw a little 2-hour move in here that just gave us a divergence or something like that. Ooh, okay, so it's a rejection divergence, so most likely you made like a 30-minute right here, which is actually something interesting because right now, if we kind of zoom this back over, come on, there you go. We zoom it back over. What are we kind of looking at now? Well, we're looking at a 30-minute that could curl up, right? And maybe we create a 2-hour and a 30-minute at the same time. But last time you made a 30-minute. So if you're going to make a 30-minute one here and see the same exact kind of trap, then this would be what you're looking for. But we want to treat that like positive. We don't want to say it has to do the exact same thing as last time. We more just want to say, okay, if that's a bad signal and it proves and it confirms, then we'll pay attention to it. Okay, good, Tammy. I just wanted to double check. I couldn't tell if you commented back. BK, I'm having a good day. I hope everyone else is having a good day too. DJT just screaming higher, getting weekly momentum behind it, probably at this point getting monthly momentum behind it, and there's always going to be pullback signals in those 2-hour charts, but you just got to see if there's an opportunity that you're given with a 2-hour pullback or something like that, or a 4-hour pullback. Tesla's weak, but it's not in the grand scheme of things, even the 30 minutes in a positive trend. So all this has to do is whip back around. You want to know how to know when you really know Tesla's experiencing weakness and going to probably experience more, it's if this daily crosses down. If this daily crosses down, then that's what can produce some extreme weakness here. Okay, but for the time being, this is a very bullish move. So, whoop, that can happen. Or it could be more elongated. The 2-hour can turn down, then turn back up. We could go all the way back down to here, turn back up. Hey, that's what's up, Tammy. Hey, I'm glad you guys are here too. It's a lot of fun today because we're seeing things actually crash on the leading indicators, which makes me feel pretty damn good actually about if I actually this. So I know this is like, I shouldn't hope for this, but I hope to lose money for a little bit. And I know that's crazy, but I hope to lose money for a little bit and then see another sign of weakness, because that would give me my second scale in, and that is where I believe I can make great money. So I actually kind of hope to lose money for a little bit. And then I hope all that plays out, right? That's a lot of hope, hope, hope. So I'll react if the 2-hour turns down on volatility. I'll react if it turns right back up. But at this moment, you're still not seeing this 30-minute curl up, so nothing really there. The Qs, you're not seeing that turn up yet, but it easily could. Look at that big wick. It easily could. But you see this. Ooh, that would not be a good sign. Engulfing candle on weekly for Nvidia forming here. If you really look at the weekly scale, yeah, that needs to cross over to see extreme. And you see how weak that can be, guys. Just be very, very careful with Nvidia, okay? I know that there's people who think I'm crazy all the time and, you know, maybe just go, haha, you're bearish when you're not watching the videos and stuff, but just pay attention. That is a bad signal if this were to cross over. It tells me just I'm going to be cautious with this one 100%. I do not think this has a chance to go up to $200 or something. You know, people saying this thing after the split could go back up to 1,000. I was just like, you guys, no. It just no. Like, that would take a ton of money pumping into the system. So, ew. Okay. Seconds here. Cool. All right. Engulfing candle on, yeah, so we got to see. It's not really engulfing yet, right? You need to really take away all this, but that can happen by this week, right? Your probabilities say that's very likely to happen. They are pricing in a Trump win, and that's why that's what we looked at right now. We looked over at the news and we're like, yeah, that's why European markets are suffering, and that's why DJT is pumping. I think that's why Tesla is pumping. It's not pumping right now, it's going through a pullback, but that's what it looks like for Tesla, just a pullback. And I think we're going to see, you know, Trump does want to cut down on the insider crap that's really causing some pain for the individual American. So he does want to cut down on a lot of the things like Nancy Pelosi being able to make $200 million or whatever it is every couple of years. So I think that's kind of worrisome for Nvidia. BlackRock bought 7% of AMC stock in article online. Yeah, I did read that article just a little bit just to see what's going on there. The thing is, are they doing that for a reason? Are they doing that to short sell more? Are they doing that so someone can borrow from them to short sell more? There's tons of little options in there that I don't know enough about to comment on, but interesting that they're buying AMC and GME when GME has one of the best reversal signals we've seen probably ever for it. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about was regional banks, okay? What regional bank ETF do you like, William? I'd like to look at the one that you're looking at. Okay, let's get off of weekly scales. We still got to pay attention to the SPY on the 30-minute, but I wanted to see which one you like to look at. Alrighty. Look at this one, I'm waiting. Okay, so I was gonna say, yeah, most people do like KRE, but I just wanted to double check. KRE, some people like the I Trust ones and shit like that, right? But KRE, well, you want to look here. Let's just look at the bigger time frames, right? You're wondering if the housing sector is going to call something here. Well, weirdly enough, you have these highs up in here. You have a bunch of little wonky divergences. It looks exactly like the SPY, actually. Like, doesn't this look kind of similar to the SPY right now? Where you have like, there's the high. You have these 1, 2, 3 push to get to that all-time high. And then you want to look at this from the weekly scale and go, can this be ugly? For the most part, this actually doesn't look as bad as you think, right? This doesn't look as bad as you think, okay? Now, if the weekly would cross down, you can go into a pullback mode, right? You'd lose the 200. That's not a good thing, but you don't necessarily have like the best major signal. It's kind of like the SPY. This looks like the SPY on the daily. And you have these wonky reversal signals, maybe, right? These are kind of questionable. That's why we keep looking at weekly charts for the SPY. But you don't have the weekly weakness like the SPY does. Now, the last time we looked at this, we were talking about 2-hour divergence in here. So do we have 2-hour divergence right now? It looks like you could go make that 2-hour divergence, right? So we actually might see banks see a little bit of positivity there. Now, if the housing market's going to suffer, it's just a wonder of why. It's just a matter of like why. Why is the housing? If it's because people are getting unemployed, they can't pay their mortgages, then that will seriously start to affect banks. Yes, kind of like 2008. Will the Fed keep bailing and kicking the can? Well, it's the definition of insanity to see the same thing and expect a different outcome. So right now, we would have to expect the same outcome unless Trump makes some big changes. But just so you know, I mean, Trump did not do anything different than any other president. He just focused more on Americans and the average citizen, right? Back when he was president, and he focused on peace. But did he still make the debt go higher? Yes. I think that you're bringing up right there is the problem that no president wants to deal with in America. And I think Trump wants to bring manufacturing to maybe get a surplus and then be able to start paying some of that back. So even though I am voting for Donald Trump, perfectly comfortable telling you guys that, it's fine, vote for whoever you want, but at the same time, you have to realize that he still did raise the debt, just like every other president before him. It's every new guy that comes in raises it more. That's what it seems like. Adobe flying still? Or wait, didn't we check on this a little bit ago? There you go. Okay, so Adobe actually confirming the 30-minute signal in about 4 minutes. And like I said, that's a 30-minute signal you want to watch. Isn't it great that you guys brought this up today? Thank you for bringing it up. And then you want to also then look at this 2-hour. It's curled up. That's awesome. Maybe you want to wait for that 4-hour signal to really be like, okay, this is confirmed. But if that confirms up the daily, you got multiple signals in here. I can click to every chart and pretty much find a good signal, which is a great sign. That means a high probable move to the upside is coming. Does it mean it has to reverse around and go to $1,000? No, but you can see a reversal. So now you got to manage the trade, right? Got to know how to manage trades. SPY flying, curling up on the 30-minute. So this is what we're looking for. That's why I kind of looked at HGX back in 2022, because now we're going to maybe see this upward move. We'll see if something pops up here. I think the Qs are the best to watch here. If this forms, I might have myself a scale in. If that doesn't form and we see the 2-hour for volatility curl down, notice that 30-minute curling down. If the 2-hour does, then I want to be very cautious with my play. That's when I want to be cautious with it. But today was important because look how close you were to cross it. You had to turn down today for volatility, or else we were going to see volatility come in. The algorithms were probably going to kick in. So we got to see how this lands by the end of the day. We'll see. Qs are what I want to pay attention to. Sorry about that. I'm clicking around a lot, but yeah, thanks for keeping us updated, Doug. Appreciate ya. Might need to go get more water. But I'm hanging with you guys. Uh-oh. 30-minute hasn't curled up yet for the keys, though. It's a good little signal there. It's a good price action so far. Weirdly enough, wasn't it like... I'm trying to think. There was some big person who's always... There's some big person who's always told they do insider trading, and they bought GME. They bought GME or AMC. I just can't remember which one. I don't want to say it's Nancy Pelosi because I'm not 100% sure. But it was one of those insider people that a lot of people follow, actually. One of those big talking heads who actually bought GME at like $20 or something like that. All right, SPY giving it up. DJT dropping big time. All right, DJT. Once again, these things probably will not be crash proof, right? So what they're seeing, DJT scaling up dramatically, Tesla scaling up dramatically, while this administration is in power, their adversaries, if you will, even though we're all Americans, their person they are competing against for the presidency, and the people around him are benefiting from that slightly. And I think this is showing in those stocks. And I don't think they want that. So this is why I say if politics are going to come into things, watch out for a random black swan. Kennedy bought GME. Oh, that's right. Kennedy did buy GME. But I don't think he's really an insider trading guy. So do I think these are crash proof? No. So watch out for black swans, because I'm guessing, you know, it probably would piss you off if you're running against the guy you want to be in power and then DJT actually like is just squeezing. But here's the thing. This is a very positive move. Where were our opportunities in this huge move? Well, I would say the best opportunities, there's little ones. There's little ones in here, But I think the best opportunity was actually buying somewhere in this level. Right as that was crossing up, maybe you managed to trade a few times for a couple of days and then boom, never cross back down. Then you get to here and it goes, okay, now I'm going to dip down, and then it goes up again. So your real opportunities were here and here. So the fact that the DJT can drop here might just be the next opportunity, like this one right there, like here. So if that's going to drop down like this, maybe fill a gap and then turn back around, hey, that still means positivity. Oh, shoot. Oh, you have a weekly expected move for it? That's so awesome, Kyle. Let's freaking go. 46.39. Oh, wait, is that Oh, it's sitting in that area. It's in that area. I have a feeling they have one more event to try to take the life out of the Trump momentum. That event would have to be a big upscale at this point. I think that one of the... And I don't think this will happen, by the way, but the event that can really put a damper on this whole election and pretty much stop the thing from taking place is big war, big global war. That's the thing that can really turn this shit on its head. That's the only thing I can come up with, because other than that, you potentially have hacking, some kind of electricity thing, some kind of EMP thing, but those are all very outreachy things. So those would be absolutely crazy. But for TSM, this might be 2-hour pullback. Yeah, so 2-hour pulled back, but you notice that we kind of failed the next move higher. So that's not a good sign. We don't necessarily have basing out signals, but you want to see still that is by that center line. So if it curls up, you can see positivity. This is one of those times where you failed the next move, which is awful. I hate when that happens, but most of the time you will test the high and go make a new one. For this one here, though, after a dramatic move up, it wasn't able to do it. It ran out of gas, made a lower high. So we'll see if this can pop back up at some point. If that can curl up now, that'd be good. But yeah, might be curling over some bigger time frames. So you could be in a bigger overall 4-hour pullback, maybe to go fill a gap. And on the daily scale, you want to see, oh, that's turning down. So now you're in daily pullback mode, which means you could consolidate down here for a while and see if that turns up. You could turn down and then turn back up. You could turn down all the way to the 50 and turn back up. So I'd just be sitting pretty, looking at that daily, looking for the next swing trade. And also notice over here, notice here, every single time this makes a major upward move, what ends up happening? We make a divergence. So I think it is still relatively controlled, and we do have that opportunity if we can base out, maybe fill a gap, base out, turn back up, see something like that, because we've seen it once, twice, maybe 3 times it's going to come up. Great higher low there. Great higher low there. Great swing trade. That's all I see right now, Mr. Engineer. Sold most of it at 32. It's not the best feeling, but it's okay. It's okay. You made money off it, right? You made good money off it if you bought at 16, right? You doubled. That's fan-freaking-tastic. Yeah, I know it's bigger time frames, Mr. Engineer, but after major moves like that, you just want to be careful with those shorter time frames. And seeing that 2-hour fail that is some good proof of why you really got to be patient and wait for those good moves. Wait for that to get real close to the center line. So something that we could talk about with that is something like Tesla, right? Yeah, this 30-minute might be the first one, but this 2-hour crossing down would be a bad thing. That hasn't happened yet. So the 30-minute does have that opportunity to see some support at the 5-day. Didn't PayPal have good earnings and it was good though? Well, the thing is PayPal was scaling up dramatically for a little while there. And like we said, PayPal, 10 good things, maybe 1 bad thing, and that convinces people to sell. They might not like projections or something. SoFi earnings looked good, but didn't do much for the market. Yeah, and I think once again, you're just running into the earnings problem. Earnings problem is, you know, technicals can be kind of thrown out the window. You'll just see random stuff. Now, SoFi did have signals. So if it got bad news, it can be pretty damn bad, and you're noticing it's getting pretty damn bad, and the daily has not even crossed over yet. Look at that. Hasn't even crossed over yet. So this might just be the beginning for SoFi. But if that daily crosses down, bigger pullback, could go all the way down to 850. Yeah, semiconductors are doing bad. You can go look at like SMH just to see. We'll see if that daily can turn up. That would be a good sign. Yeah, I don't think this is like really losing too much. But the big dog's the most important. So 30-minute curls up for Nvidia. Got to be willing to be wrong. Got to be willing to manage a trade here. You've seen some downside. That's great. But if that would just pop up, that's going to carry the whole market higher. I don't know why my voice cracked. Higher. Oh, gosh, it's volatility. And this is one thing I was thinking this morning. I haven't really mentioned it, but this morning I was like, are we going to see one of those times where it's like, oh, the 30-minute crosses up, then it crosses back down, then it crosses up, then it crosses back down, and then we see a big move? You know, is it going to be one of those flip back and forth times? We'll see. I just want to see if the Qs can confirm this. Right now, it really looks like it wants to. That RSI is saying yes. The price action is saying yes, but you got 24 minutes in the last bar. You gave up the move. AMD earnings, I mean, you had basing out signals on the 2-hour. That's why you're seeing some positivity, in my opinion. But AMD earnings, I think AMD earnings could be a big catalyst. And the fact that we're seeing weeklies turn down on the housing sector, the fact that you're seeing weeklies turn down on XLU, the fact that you're seeing all that means that this is most likely not going to end well. So AMD earnings, is that going to produce upside so that Nvidia can make a new all-time high by Friday? We see a massive trap, everyone's happy, and then they wake up on Monday and things are crashing, right? That's kind of what I think could happen. because the SPY, I think you don't have much time left. This 2 hour is still remaining positive, and I know you're asking about AMD, but it's good to look at what that could make happen. So is AMD earnings just going to say, okay, the 2 hour turns down and these semiconductors are going to drag down the market with it? We're going to start to see weeklies cross or something if we're going to get major weakness? Or is this being positive, saying AMD is going to produce good things? So if AMD produces good things, I think we do this. But you notice that if you look across, we don't have the best divergences all the way across, right? But they are there on the MACD. And if you saw one more push higher, where would you be? Closer to the center line again. So that's what I think you're at risk of to the upside. And for downside, that's why I'm scaling in here. And I'm just going to scale in again if we make another move. Meta will be interesting as well, because that thing's curled up in positive territory and made good structure. You have good structure here, so that's what we were mentioning in last night's video. This was the bullish take, and the bullish take is showing up a little bit, and we'll see if that can push us a little bit higher. Now, to see bigger positivity, you're going to need this daily to turn up. Okay, so earnings is going to be very important for this one as well. You see how Tuesday, Wednesday, after Tuesday, Wednesday, we could really see how these earnings are shaping up for companies. So far, it seems people are getting good earnings, but bad price action. AMD as well, you want to see if that daily can turn up. You see that daily? That's how the positivity can really jump in after earnings. Do I want to take a play with this? No, I'm not going to take a play with that. No, thank you. GME still outside doing something crazy. Still holding. Not able to curl down. Once it curls down on a 30-minute, that's when we can start to read into, okay, maybe this does want to clamp back down by the end of the week. What's the dollar doing? Dollar's trying to reverse back down very steeply there. Very steep turn down there from the dollar. This is starting to spread out a little bit. It was kind of tight, spread out, kind of tight, spread out. Now it's just spread out the entire time. 2 hour crosses down. I'm not very happy with that, right? With the dollar, if I was in it. What's BITF? Oh, Bitfarms. Okay. I have looked at Bitfarms before. I think this was the last signal I looked at. Yeah, daily divergence. Okay, so daily divergence down here, pretty much you would say almost triple divergence, but really just, we'll say one. You got divergence here at this low, curled up positive territory is above you now. So you're seeing a good move, you're reacting to the 200. Just note, this is still really close to the center line. These big moves like this, I really want to wait for my opportunities. I'm seeing a little 2 hour divergence that's popping up here. So if that 2 hour rotates down, bad. I would more so like this to curl down on the 30-minute and curl back up into positive territory, because I am seeing that hold a little bit here on the RSI for the 30 minutes. So I just really want to make sure that's curling back up at this point. But daily scale would say good. Weekly scale says, hey, if this is a good enough move, I can turn up and maybe see something good there. Okay, not crossed down yet for volatility. IBM, I haven't looked at IBM in forever, so I'm going to check on that. And then I'm going to pay attention to the market for a little bit, guys. Can this 2 hour turn up? Do we have signals? Well, you have a bunch of wonky divergences here. You really do. And since that happened with earnings, yeah, we can get a reaction, but that might just be to retest the 5 and then we end up failing. So I'd be paying attention anytime this 30-minute curls down. But I think you have a good shot to see some kind of bounce, actually, because you're getting that kind of crash, but your momentum indicator saying, hey, we should be doing this to retest that 5, but we're not. So just extreme weakness at this point. Daily scale turning down by the center line. If that curls back up, you might have a swing trade. You always want to check on the weeklies these days just to see if anything's popping up. Okay, we don't really have the best weekly divergence here for IBM. Yeah, you don't really have the best weekly divergence, so this could just be base out at any time and curl back up. All right, now I got to go pay attention to the keys real quick. I got to see if that's turning up on a 30-minute, guys. I still got to pay attention to what we're gonna, really discuss in the night videos and stuff like that. I'm gonna use the restroom, guys, and I'll be right back. Alrighty. We're back. We're back. Pretty controlled by the center line. How high up can Tesla go this week? Oh, Tesla still might have a good move left in it if that 30-minute can curl up. Interesting. One was Netflix. I was looking at this. Now, right now, that looks like 2-hour pullback by the center line. If that can curl up, I can see one more move. But one thing is the daily scale showing divergence all the way across this. Weekly here showing divergence all the way across this. So I think we're at a pivotal point for a lot of stocks. All-time high traps. See, and this is why I was waiting for the 2-hour to cross up, because I still think volatility has a chance to remain higher here. And this is what I want to watch. Kind of dry towards this right now. Thought we were going to see that big move higher here. PCC at 0.85. Dollar will be interesting. Are we still seeing the housing sector? Yeah, still very weak. Getting to a level where a bounce makes sense. The volatility of volatility turning down by the center line. We'll see if that can pick up. But the Qs are still, I think, the main one to pay attention to at this moment. Wow. Poly market's insane. Dow, are you gonna reject off of the 5? Did that, all of that just give us a little bounce with time to get to the 5? Just crazy that TLT continues to turn down though. Ooh. All right, we'll just leave it here for now. I'll look at charts on my other one. Just in the last 12 minutes we got here, I just want to make sure, because you're seeing a lot of wicks from the SPY, if you notice. We gotta see if this starts to flip the other way. The opposite signal is that 2-hour turning down. Not turned down yet. That's why we're looking at 30 minutes. How low is it going to go? As low as it wants until it sees something to turn up. You have potential for it to be in a 30-minute pullback right now, right? 30-minute, it could be done right here if the 30-minute wants to turn back up. But it could be in a 2-hour pullback, and this could take a lot more time. So you just got to see which signal actually confirms. Bitcoin looks like it can keep running unless you're getting a trap right now, which you're not really seeing weakness here. So I'm very hesitant to say this is a trap. This would have to be a random event that turns down the daily chart. That's how this reverses down. Other than that, it looks bullish as hell. The weekly looks super bullish. You have a ton of room here. You're down by the center line. This looks mega bullish. Think about it. The last time we saw a curl up by the center line, what happened? Ooh, right here. Well, what happened? Okay, well, 132%. Now, sometimes the next big move is not as big, but if you ever had a chance to hit 100K, that's Bitcoin looking like this. Expected move for the Qs right now. 553 and 490.27 for the dailies. For the weeklies, you have 508.66 and 481.98. If you're using any other, futures or whatever, just take the percentage, right? And you can get it over on Patreon as well if you need hard numbers to do the percentage, but about 2.31% up or 2.31% down. Yeah, David, that's what it looks like. Now, you have to be aware of that daily signal and of, things are going on. You could experience Black Swan and Bitcoin, see it's something crazy, but Trump's all for Bitcoin, so it would make sense. The dollar and Bitcoin kind of makes sense. Gold, it's just weird to see all of them run at the same time. Wonder if Ethereum will start to make a move. I mean, you can look at the chart, see if that weekly turns up. Maybe this one's more the opportunity, because you had double top and that pretty much played out. So we'll see if that weekly can turn back around. I'm sure the daily's crossed. Ooh, okay. So if the daily crosses up, you got a chance to turn up the weekly. So it might be earlier into something like Ethereum, since Bitcoin's seen a little bit of a run. But I think Bitcoin has a ton of room as long as it can hold daily signals. And you always have the potential for that to curl back up. So we'll just pay attention and see what happens later on. Still got to watch this though. Now we're starting to see 0.42. So I got to watch this just a little bit closer. Yeah, and Mara can run, but already has seen a big run, just so you're aware. These don't move in tandem. If you notice that Bitcoin's making a new all-time high, what's Mara doing? It's not. So don't think they are perfectly correlated. They do move together at times. You're seeing a big move from Bitcoin now. You're seeing a decent move here from the low on Mara. But you just have to know that, hey, there could be weakness here for Mara. You still want to treat it with exactly what you would treat another stock. Hey, that 2 hours curled up. You got a chance for this to test the high, go make a new one. You already did that. So if this turned back down, that'd be bad. But you do have room here, so you'll see if that can go higher. For the most part, though, you don't want to think that Mara and Bitcoin have to react exactly the same, because if you just look at the chart, they're completely different, right? I understand what you're getting at, and I do that too, right? I read into Mara and Bitcoin, but... Okay, now we're 0.45. Oops, still not enough to curl us up, huh? Still not enough. And that could be a big thing, Max. It could be. That's why they're kind of sluggish. But more so just want to treat the stock like everything else. Do I see reversal signals? Is it outside of a weekly range? Do I see a swing trade signal? Is it outside of a weekly range? Are we at support? Are we at resistance? What's happening on the bigger time frames, right? All those things can come into consideration when making a decision there. Come on, Qs. We know you want to trap people one more time. You know, just do it already so we can chill. Because if this doesn't happen like soon, then I'll have to watch this all day, and I'm like, ugh. Staring at charts all day. Baby girl's been a little iffy. Her big tooth on the top finally came through. We can see it fully now. But now her other tooth wants to come in. God, when does it stop, parents out there? It doesn't for like 2 years, right? The teething. It just doesn't. Ooh, let's look at a random one. Alexander, you still here? Is Alexander still here? I don't know. I don't know if I've looked at this, but... Ew! This is why I don't look at random ones. Ew! Oh god, yeah, there's no technicals to do here, my dude. This is one that has just turned down and down and down. I mean, I wonder if, like... You could wonder if it has like a short seller problem in some way, but this just looks like it turns down and down and down. What is this? Oh, it's a biotech. Okay, so these are just kind of like your... my dad's buddy's strategy. Throw $1,000 at 5 of these, see which one pops in 10 years. Sorry, there's no technicals to do there. There's no support level even for me to go off of. At the basic level, you'd be like, oh, is that a support? It's like, no, it's just dropping. Exactly, Alexander. So you're thinking about it that way. I mean, that's how I would think about those, but... Hey, that's my strategy. Hey, you know, for some biotech ones, it helps, right? I know that I think it was my brother and dad were doing it on this one, IonQ. You know, someone's been bringing that up. They were doing it on this one down towards, I think they were in at like $8. They were looking at this at $8, waiting for that big run. And then the big run came. So I believe they were good. They already took profit on stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool. You make 50% on holding a stock. That's pretty good. Google is breaking out, and that's a big deal. It's breaking out. You do have a 30-minute reversal here, though. So if this is a fake breakout, you're probably going to see that 30-minute rotate down quickly. But if it's not, that's fine. 2 hour. Oh, 2 hours getting overbought too. I'm starting to not like this look from Google, actually. It can remain overbought for a while, but oof. The state of the market right now, it's like, okay, maybe this sees a push. Maybe it's just some kind of random thing. Just not the best. I guess you would say swing trade was there for the 2 hour. What's up, secure opening? Oh yeah, I went over it a few times, but I mean, just looking at DJT, just so everyone's clear while people are in here, DJT is dramatically moving to the upside. We have a divergence on the RSI. If that thing wants to pull back, cool, it will. But I just want you to notice how we're riding the 5, riding the 5. So I wouldn't really expect dramatic weakness unless we lose the 5. So something that I would say is the opportunity are times where you get these little 30-minute pullbacks still. Right, notice that 30-minute pulled back, crossed up. Awesome. Good money to be had there, $29 or $30 to about 36. Great trade. Then it curls down. You go, okay, now I want to see this thing up, curled up again. Okay, then we go from, what is this, $37 all the way up to 49. You say, okay, good trade. You know? So at this point, would you say, okay, should I wait for a 30-minute or hop in? Well, on the weekly scale, this can see upside. But you're hoping in the shorter time frames you get some kind of opportunity. That's all there is here. The only time you're going to experience more weakness is if the daily can cross and you're getting above the 2. You could get a retest of the 200 maybe, but it's too difficult to really say like, oh yeah, the daily has to cross down. It's like it's running into resistance points where we had resistance before. So it does make sense to want to curl down maybe for a moment and turn back up. You're pretty damn overbought, but we got more overbought here. So maybe you just keep going. The weekly scale's with you, but I hope for a 30-minute pullback for you to make a decision. You just want to see if a trade actually sets up if you're missing out on something. Your fear of missing out should not be the fact that this is going higher. Your fear of missing out is not paying attention when the opportunity presents itself. Not paying attention when the opportunity presents itself. Not paying attention when the opportunity presents itself. That's what you should fear of missing out. Now, Zach, we just look at the Qs. I know it's a little different, but I mean, we can. You can go look at this type of stuff, but it's just you want to spread things out. It's going to be the same thing. So if you're looking at the NQ, most of the time you're just going to be, okay, the 2 hour is a 30-minute Kalani. Oh, Kalani's been asking about NQ, my bad. But yeah, that 2 hour curling up is pretty much your 30-minute for the futures here. But if you really just think about it, okay, I can just look at the Qs to do that. I just know that the 2 hour over there is a 30-minute over here, and I go, okay, if this 30-minute crosses up, all right. Sorry, I probably wasn't the most helpful there. Dow, are you going to rotate down? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? I know these look a little different, right? But not going to a move yet. Oh, Tesla. Okay, keeps going down. So what you want to see is, are we going to get that 30-minute to bounce, or are we going to cross over this 2 hour? If the 2 hour crosses over, not the best sign. So more downside. No, the 30 minutes crossing is potential to cross up. It's potential to cross up here for the Qs, for the NQ. So for the NQ, you'd look at a 4 hour and you're going to see something like this. And the 2 hour crosses down, that's bad for this. The 30-minute crosses up, good. So for the NQ, that would be the 4 hour crosses down, bad. The 2 hour crosses up, good. UVXY, I do like that one. I think it had reversal signals for downside. Good thing about UVXY, it gave you the reversal signal here, but it happened on a gap. So this right here, though, is where I took my profit for volatility. Once I saw a red bar complete on that in the wick, I just took profit on it, let the move come down, then I took volatility again, and it's down at the same level. So I could scale in again if I wanted to, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to see if volatility can get by that center line and curl up without curling down the 2 hour. That's going to be the key thing. So I have to really monitor this. Roth. Palantir, yeah, I know. It looks tempting, but you're on this shelf right now, so you could see one more 30-minute move higher. Right? Create that reversal signal. Then you would say, okay, now the 2 hour has a good shot to cross. That has a reversal signal. So then you have a 30-minute and a 2 hour at the same time. Yeah, I still take longer outdated options for UVXY, especially on the first position, right? Because on that first position, that's like where I say, okay, this is the date I'm going to pick. So let me see. I think I have November 22nd. Gives me plenty of time, not going to lose a bunch on some kind of little curl up, and then I could scale in, even out that price, call it good. Because the Q is starting to go up by 0.5, so the 30-minute here for the Qs, aka the 2 hour Kalani for the NQ, would be maybe curling up soon. We'll see. Oh, nice. Okay, then yeah, I think you got a good amount of time there. Just something I like to do. I like to take out a little bit further. Actually, normally with that position, I should take one more week on that from where we're at this week, but I just bought the pretty much same exact position I bought for my previous volatility play. Yeah, people are saying it's time for the meme coins again. You'd more so just be looking at GME. Is it remaining positive, right? Is it remaining up in these areas? Is it? And if it's crossing down, another key thing is it crossing down on the 30-minute and getting below this line, this 2191? If this just crosses down, okay, but if that crosses down and this just goes like this, remains in this area and curls up, that's going to be another good thing. So if this crosses down and crosses back below 2191, that's when I'd be like, okay, they're really going to fight this into Friday, and then maybe we can see something next week. But this is a great move. It's a fantastic signal. I would not ignore that. It just means you have to manage trades, right? We don't want to use big amounts of money in this, right? We just want to manage our trades throughout. But sometimes you'll just get that 30-minute to gap up on the cross, and then it never comes back. But high potential for that to happen, actually, with these signals as they look right now. Okay, volatility down 2.17. Just got to check on the 2 hour real quick, and we can get back over to the Qs. All right, 2 hour looks fine. It looks like the Qs are going to make the next move higher. See, this is a strong bar. That's great. Up on the RSI, waiting on the most lagging indicator, the MACD, but I still like that for my confirmations. That's why I don't swing trade, though, on 30 minutes, that is, because it can be kind of late. That's all right. That's all right. Hopefully you know what you're doing at this point. Hopefully you have money on the side. My goodness, 300,000 is a lot. Decent amount there. But it's big people like that can benefit the most, so I'm sure you like what's happening right now and you're just going, all right, let's hope that moment pushes through. And right as the market starts going higher, the dollar starts going higher. Not a good sign. They're still working in tandem, right? SPY drops a little bit here. Right here drops a little bit. Dollar drops a little bit. SPY starts to go up. Dollar starts to go up. So actually, if the dollar experiences weakness, maybe the market can't. Maybe the market can. 300K is a lot to some. A lot to many. Not a lot to some, I guess. A fool and his money comes to mind. Yeah, I would just really zoom out on things. I mean, if you have big lumps of money, you don't necessarily need to do option strategies, which I don't know if you are or not for the most part, but I would just say really look at things on monthly scales and say, do they look like good potential? And sometimes you run into those and you're going to lose a little bit at first, but if the signals still are good and you believe in them and you say, hey, this is a good signal, you've done your research. People can hate on you all you want while you're down, but once you're up, they get very, very quiet. Remember that dramatic downside that we saw? Remember when Nvidia didn't confirm the next move higher for the 2 hour and turned right back down? And then that's when people kind of start, you know, this is where the people who troll me, this is the day they leave. They don't come to the channel. This is when they don't come to the channel. This is when they do. This is when they do. And I'm like, well, the 30-minute curled up positivity, right? So I just know you're not watching the videos. 30-minute curled up positivity, right? We teach how to manage trades that way. So it's good though. We always got to see if Nvidia turns up on this 30-minute, should we expect something different than before? Probably not. You got to see those reversal signals there, and you have them right now. Go look at this 2 hour. Remember the 2 hour rejection? Ooh, that was ugly. And now you're starting to get that 5-day to turn down a little bit. Q's still waiting to see if that 2 hour can turn down, but right now the 30-minute looks closer to turning up than the 2 hour turning down. So that's why we're looking at a 30-minute. All right, guys, I gotta take a little break for the day from these charts for a second, so I'm gonna hop off of the stream for now. If crazy things do start to happen, we haven't had to do it, but I still will be coming live later today. If we see the 2 hour actually cross down for the Qs, I'll probably hop on the live video later today, so make sure those notifications on, make sure you're subscribed, and if you're wanting to learn about anything that we talked about here today, about divergences, good setups, that setup that we saw with, you know, I think we were looking at Costco. I think we were looking at Enphase. I think we were looking at a lot of stuff, but that can really help you out, just knowing how to see weakness and momentum. And when you get some good news, you can see some good plays out there. Volatility is behaving like a bear market. So learning will be an important thing because bear markets can really rip you apart. But thank you guys for being here today. Grab those courses down in the description while they're 90% off for the next 30 days. That's all the time that you have left. But I appreciate you guys being here, liking, subscribing, doing all that good stuff. You guys are fantastic. I enjoy you. And just pay attention to your signals, trade like water, and I wish you all the luck in the world with your trading going on throughout today, and I'll wish you some more luck later on YouTube in tonight's video. So thank you guys. Have a great day. Peace out.